Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki Ata Hu Melech Adon Lecho HaShalom. Ki Ata Hu Melech Adon Lecho HaShalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. B'tov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol leil ubechol sha'ah bishlomecha. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki Ata Hu Melech Adon Lecho HaShalom. Ki Ata Hu Melech Adon Lecho HaShalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. B'tov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol leil ubechol sha'ah bishlomecha. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki Ata Hu Melech Adon לכו השלום, כי אתה הוא מלך אדום. לכו השלום, שלום רב עם ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב עם ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. בטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל, בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם, תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. כי אתה הוא מלך אדום, לכו השלום. כי אתה הוא מלך אדום, לכו השלום. שלום רב עם ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. בטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל, בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם, תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. כי אתה הוא מלך אדום, לכו השלום. כי אתה הוא מלך אדום, לכו השלום. שלום רב עם ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. בטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל ליל ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. כי אתה הוא מלך אדום לכו השלום. כי אתה הוא מלך אדום לכו השלום. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. בטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל ליל ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. כי אתה הוא מלך אדום לכו השלום. כי אתה הוא מלך אדום לכו השלום. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. בטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל ליל ובכל שעה.
Erev Tov, good evening. We welcome you here this evening to our second annual Iftar, Interfaith Iftar. And the person who really has helped to pull it all together is Anila Ali. Anila Ali is the chairman, the founder of an organization called AMWEC. Those of you who may not be familiar with it, it's the American Muslim Multi-Faith Women's Empowerment Council. And as such, she has done some amazing things, including coming and being here tonight with us as she was last year. And so I'd like to invite Anila to come forward at this time in order to share some words with all of us at this very special evening. Anila, my friend.
Assalamu alaikum, shalom, honorable clergy, excellencies, esteemed guests. We are gathered here today to celebrate our friendship and our solidarity. Rabbi Weinblatt has opened his house at a very critical time. And we had an iftar that was beautiful last year. We wanted to return, and we were worried that he may not let us. But I'm so happy to be here, and so is my board. So thank you for being courageous. I think there are women that can exemplify courage today. And it is my pleasure to introduce these women to you. Everyone says, where are the moderate Muslims? Where are the Muslims, the enlightened ones? I'm here to show you who they are. And American Muslim Multi-Faith Women's Empowerment Council is happy to be here. We have a East Coast Advisory Board, and we have a West Coast one. Some of our West Coast members, we actually brought them here. So I would like a moment to introduce my board members if they are here. AMWEC's vision is very simple. We want a world where Muslims fight anti-Semitism and Jews fight Islamophobia, and together we fight hate. Because we know what hate is. We know what hate is. We know that it starts with the Jewish people, but it doesn't end there. We've been there. And the people that stood with us are all here in front of you. So, where are my board members? Zebun Nisa, please rise. And Soraya Deen. And Farhana Khurshid, she's not here, but she's a Boston member, and she's having an Interfaith Iftar there. Aifa Lidain, who is here, and Shazia Sayed, she'll be joining us later, and Seemab Asif. Seemab is a Pakistani Christian, and she and I have worked in Pakistan on anti-Semitism together. So these are my Abrahamic sisters, and of course you'll be hosted or sort of emceed by Kelly Goldberg. Yes, she thinks she's Jewish, but we've adopted her as a Pakistani. So these are the women that have stood and the test of time. They have lost family members, like we have, yes, and a little bit of reputation. But you know what? We believe in what we're doing. And so these are the enlightened women of AMWEC, and they believe in the Abrahamic message, which is why we are all here, that we're Muslims. And you'll see a paper that's with you on the chairs, and you are going to see on the last paragraph, 5 times a day in our prayers, we ask God in our prayers, and you'll be observing that, we ask God to bless Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his family, just like he blessed Prophet Abraham and his family. Now imagine that we do that 5 times a day, and sometimes we don't know what it means, but our job as Muslims and what we're doing is to make sure we remind each other that this is how God wanted it to be, for us to believe in humanity and to know that we are all the children of Abraham. Also, we are here, as AMWEC believes, that we're here to build a better world for all of us and for our children, where everyone is respected, included, and it is exemplified in the Quran, the life of the Prophet. The Quran states, Allah states, I have created you into different nations and tribes so that you may get to know each other. And so at AMWEC, we believe that we're doing that work. And I ask you to join me in pursuing this beautiful world that we dream of, and joining and going to our website and signing up to our newsletter so we can have more and more people sign up for these kind of events next time. I want to thank my brother, Rabbi Weinblatt, and the entire congregation for being here and being so supportive in these difficult times. Yes, we all had to put in extra work, but we're happy to do that. And then I would like to acknowledge a friend who's here from Israel. We are all praying for the safe return of the hostages, and we're also praying for peace in the Middle East, because when peace comes, we are all going to wake up and embrace each other. So inshallah, let's all spend a moment and pray for peace. Thank you. And so with that, I wish you happy Ramadan, happy fast of Esther, happy Nowruz, and happy Easter. And I give it back to Rabbi Weinblatt.
Speaking of courage, Anila certainly is a role model for all of us. And she has been to Israel on more than one occasion. She has been to Pakistan, where she held a Hanukkah service, as a matter of fact. And so she is really somebody that we all admire and love for your friendship and for all you've done. It's indeed a pleasure to be able to welcome all of you here tonight. Mr. Ambassador and Mr. Ambassador, it is our honor to have you with us, and we are very touched that you could be with us. Our fate, B'nai Yaakov, the children of Jacob, and B'nai Ishmael, the children of Israel, our fate is entangled. We are brothers, we are cousins, we're all B'nai Avraham, we're all children of Abraham. And as is true of most sibling relationships, it's complicated. As is true of most siblings, there may be a feeling of a need to compete for the parent's love. And as is true of most parents, the thing any parent wants most is for their children to get along. So tonight, we gather together in a spirit of friendship, a spirit of mutual respect. And I would like to think that our parent, Avinu Shebashamayim, our God in heaven, Adonai, Allah, whatever we choose to call the Holy One, the Merciful One, the one whom we refer to as Har-Haman in Hebrew, and is known in Arabic as Ar-Rahman, is looking down on us tonight in this small corner of the world and is pleased. Unlike last year, this year our Muslim brothers and sisters are not the only ones who are fasting. We join and partake of the fast as well. For today coincides with Ta'anit Esther, the fast of Esther, a day which is set aside to commemorate the time when she asked her fellow Jews throughout the province of Shushan and of Persia to pray on her behalf as she was about to intercede and go in to ask the king for mercy, to ask the king to revoke Haman's plan to destroy and annihilate the Jews. So why did she do that? Why did she ask them to fast and to pray? Not just because she wanted them to pray for her, but also because she didn't want to face the king alone. Knowing there were others who cared about her fate gave her the confidence and the courage that she needed at that special moment. Being here tonight is an act of courage. It shouldn't be, but it is. And you should know there was hate messages we received earlier today, phone and email messages. We have an increased presence of police for that very reason, because there are those who don't want this kind of cooperative experience to occur. And so we were concerned about what could possibly happen, but thank God, we're here tonight with the confidence that comes from knowing that we are not alone, with the strength that we draw from each other when we are together. And so, as this day of fasting soon will come to an end, I pray that our fast will make us hungry for peace, that it will make us hungry for truth, hungry for understanding and for compassion. And may we have the strength, the wisdom, the determination, and the courage to pursue it. We are not, nor do we wish to appear to be ignorant or naive or oblivious to what's happening in the world around us. The forces of hate are all around us. And sadly, they're growing louder every day, and they are the ones who seem to dominate the public discourse. But alas, they are not the majority. Those who want peace, those who want understanding like what we have tonight, are the voices that we should hear. Shortly after the tragedy, the massacre on October 7th, Anila came to be here as a voice of solidarity with us. And shortly thereafter, I mentioned and I said that I wanted to remind everyone of what it was that Mr. Rogers used to say. He said, when there is hurt, when there is something terrible that happens, look for the healers. And similarly, we look to be the healers. And conversely, we should look on those who seek not to heal, but to bring division. So the forces of hate are all around us. They seek to drown out the voices of tolerance. They wish to smash the bridges of understanding that we seek to create. And so your presence here tonight, the distinguished guest that we have with us at this Iftar, is an antidote to those efforts. And we will not let the voices of hatred, of animosity or prejudice prevail in any way. We do this not by ignoring and not by setting aside our differences, but by celebrating that which we have in common while cherishing that which makes us unique and distinguishes us from each other and makes us different. In our own quiet way, what we're doing is lighting a candle and thereby bringing light to the very hope that the haters seek to extinguish. We illuminate the darkness they so desperately wish would envelop the entire world. Our world has changed a great deal since the Interfaith Iftar that we held last year. There's a war that's going on and raging in the Middle East, with a terrible terrorist attack, a massacre which occurred in the southern part of Israel. And of course, as we know, we're now almost at 5.5 months when hostages have been taken from their homes. And so we mourn all of that. We mourn the tragic loss of innocent lives and abhor terror and the repressive forces which are aligned with it. And we stand on the side of those who wish for conflict to end. In June, I led a delegation of rabbis as guests of the governments of Bahrain and of the United Emirates to Abu Dhabi and Dubai and to Bahrain. And I was able to see firsthand the product of what can happen when a people and its leaders choose to embark on the path of enlightenment, and how people can flourish and thrive in an open environment. And so reflecting on the promise of that moment, reflecting on the promise of all that I saw and witnessed, I imagined and thought to myself, this must be how Moses felt when he looked out and he saw the promised land. I feel as if I've been blessed. I've been to the mountaintop and I've been able to see that promised land, the glimpse of promise of peace, to see what a society based upon tolerance and understanding can look like and what it can accomplish for those Arab nations who have chosen to extend the hand in peace to the people of Israel. I pray that we may see the day when the vision of a prophet shall come to pass, that nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Lo yisagoy al goy cherev, lo yimadu od milchama, and then the lion shall lie down with the lamb, and none shall be afraid. Ken yehi ratzono, Inshallah, so may it be thy will, and we say, Amen. It is now my distinct honor and pleasure to be able to introduce Israel's ambassador to the United States. Ambassador Michael Herzog is here with his wife, Shireen. Ambassador Herzog comes from a very distinguished family and has had a very distinguished career representing his country, and it is now our honor to invite him, as every one of his predecessors has been here at B'nai Tzedek, so too now is it our pleasure to invite you as well. Ambassador Herzog, thank you.
Thank you very much. Good evening. This gathering is very meaningful to me, to my wife Shireen, and to our team. I'm very happy to be here. I want to thank this community, B'nai Tzedek, for hosting us. House of Ruach for sponsoring this event, Rabbi Weinblatt and Anila Ali for your leadership and courage in putting this together. I also want to acknowledge the presence of fellow ambassadors. I see here the ambassador from Bosnia, and members of the administration, Aaron Kayak and others, and all of you. It's a pleasure to be here. We, in our embassy, for years, have had a tradition of hosting an Iftar event. Every year, we used to do an Iftar event. Last year, we did a very special Iftar event together with the embassies of Azerbaijan and Bahrain. It was a memorable occasion. We don't do it this year, given the circumstances, as you can all understand, but that's why we decided to join this event and be here. And I really thank you for hosting us. And I want to say that, as you all know, these are difficult days for us in the State of Israel and the Jewish community. These are dark days. And it is doubly important during such dark days to have interfaith gatherings, to get together and to build bridges. And I believe that the values in our common faith in Judaism and Islam could help build bridges. And that is the importance of this event. On October 7th, the State of Israel was attacked by Hamas. Hamas presents itself as an Islamist organization. But I say that as a student of Islam, Hamas does not represent the true spirit of Islam. I would say, if I may, that Hamas kidnapped people and hijacked Islam on October 7th. So as we gather here, let us celebrate in the true spirit of Judaism and Islam, a spirit of peace, tolerance, compassion, and mercy. And this is the meaning of this gathering. And I want to thank you all and wish all of you, our Muslim friends and brothers and sisters, Ramadan Kareem. Thank you.
We thank you for the important, inspiring words which you've shared with us, and your presence alone says so much. And now I'm going to turn things over to Kelly Herman, who is the board member of AMWAC, and she will be introducing the next ambassador. Thank you. I've been asked just to indicate the ambassador and Mrs. Herzog are going to need to leave early due to another commitment, and we really, truly appreciate your squeezing this in. I know what your schedule is like, so thank you so much. Toda Rabbi.
Toda Rabbi. I am Kelly Herman Goldberg, whichever you prefer. I'll answer to either. I am a longstanding board member of AMWAC, and I have the great pleasure this evening of introducing His Excellency Ambassador Alkalai up to speak to us and offer a few words to all of you in attendance tonight. Please.
Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to talk tonight in such an important event, which is bringing Jewish and Muslim people together in the moment where we are fighting anti-Semitism big time, and it's important that we do it together as brothers and sisters in this very difficult moment. So, dear Rabbi Weinblatt, dear Anila Ali, friends, ladies and gentlemen, Shalom Aleichem, Assalamu Alaikum, peace upon you, and good evening to everybody. So it's really indeed an honor to be tonight here and to make part of this important and gorgeous event. And when we talk about coexistence between Jewish and Islamic people, I would like to bring to your attention few elements from my own personal life, from life in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and some examples where people in Bosnia and Herzegovina of Islamic faith and Jewish faith live together. It's which is more not mere coexistence, which is forged of the centuries and living together in harmony. I want to underline living together, not side by side. That's a model that it's normal and common life in my hometown, Sarajevo, in Bosnia and Herzegovina. It was something that there were never ghettos in Bosnia for Jews, although there's a majority of Muslim population. This is important to mention because we have numerous examples of coexistence, and I have from my own family, which is known to be of Sephardic origin, which came to Sarajevo and Bosnia and Herzegovina in 16th, 17th century. And from that period, we have in Sarajevo 4 houses of worship standing practically side by side, 300 yards apart, and since 15th century. So when they were saying, oh yeah, we hate each other, Muslims hate Jews or something, I might say during all these centuries, there was no destructions of either of 4 houses of worship of the whole, to Christians, Orthodox, Jewish synagogue, and Muslim mosque. So that was something which I'm so proud, and I would like this example to be noted here. And although Bosnians during the war in 92-95 suffered great losses, during the aggression there was a genocide that happened in Srebrenica where 8,000 people were killed and murdered point blank. But the Jewish people from World Jewish Congress and Grand Mufti of Bosnia and Herzegovina found joint strength to create and do together during the Holocaust Remembrance Day, try to promote peace and compassion and dialogue. They addressed the group of victims of Holocaust who were there, and also of the genocide Srebrenica, some of who survivors who were at the commemoration. At that event, there were members of the Jewish community who survived and who were born in concentration camp in 1943. And together with the Muslim brothers and sisters, they forged a path for reconciliation and mutual respect and active peace building. We had the pleasure to have a representative of Mr. Menahem Rosensaft, who was representative of the World Jewish Congress, and he brought us a very important message, which really raised the events and send a good message that Jews and Bosnians are together. We are a small community, congregation of 1,400 people, and I'm proud to say that it's growing. We were about 1,000, but many people escaped during the war in 92-95 to Israel. They stayed there. Now they're coming back. There are new children born, and we are growing in number, and we hold our holy days together. We worship them in our synagogue, which is by origin it's Ashkenazi, but now because we are Sephardi, are more in Sarajevo. We took over. So, but I want to go back just to the Holocaust briefly to say how Sarajevo, Bosnia was not independent state at the time. We couldn't have diplomats who would be saving Jews in some consul issuing visas. But what we did, as a citizens, we were hiding Jews from prosecution. They gave them the Muslim dress and cover, so they survived number of families, and they got the righteous from the Yad Vashem. They were praised. And there's one interesting event which happened in the 1890. I go further back. Its story refers to an event called Sarajevo Purim. As we are now in this time, there was a corrupt Ottoman Pasha had arrested 11 prominent Jews and the rabbi, and demanded a huge ransom for them, not to kill them. Muslims of Sarajevo rose up, went outside the prison, and threatened to destroy everything and set it on fire if the Jews were not released. Some 3,000 men at the time, 1819, Sarajevo was not a big city, including a number of Christians and Jews, joined the uprising, and they stormed the Pasha's palace and freed and imprisoned Jewish community leaders. So we start celebrating this event. That's why I call it Sarajevo Purim. And as we are mentioning, as we are in a time of Purim, now I wanted to mention it. Another event of the people living together, which is called Sarajevo Haggadah. That's from a 15th century, brought to Sarajevo in Bosnia during Exodus. But interesting story, Nazis, Germans, when they entered Sarajevo, the first thing they went to the museum and says, "Where is Haggadah?" But one Muslim cleric who was a curator in the museum says, "Oh, your other officer came and took it away." But that was not true. They hid in the mosque. They hid the Haggadah, so it survived the Second War. So they also did things what they can do to their neighbor, to the Jewish, very important things, and thank God this Haggadah is still in the Bosnian Museum, and it can be seen in very special days. When I was first time in Washington on my tour of duty as the ambassador, there was perception that Bosnia is a Muslim state. Majority of the population is Muslim. So they were, when I was contacting grassroots Jewish groups and everything, says, "How come you represent Muslim country?" But that was not, we are not, as I said, we are not large populations, but we are well represented. So through our small congregation, we hold and cherish new members, newborn, and we have work very closely with them. So when I heard this call from Anila and the Rabbi Weinblatt to have this event, my heart really trembled, and I said, this is the things we should know, we must do together, because this would send the right message all over the world. It should go not only in the US, but as such a difficult times for Jews and for Muslims and situation, I think it's important that this message being amplified more and more, and it's the best message to fight against anti-Semitism. And I'm not surprised that there were some nasty phone calls, nasty emails and everything. So I'm glad that security is here, but it shouldn't be like this. We should be free to worship and without being supervised by or protected by police force. That's why this kind of events are more than necessary, and I would appreciate and would thank you, Rabbi and Anila, so much. It gives me great pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. That was so important. Many of us may be familiar with the Sarajevo Haggadah. It's a fascinating story. If you don't know anything about it, I encourage you to read about it. I was not aware of the Sarajevo Purim, though, and how important that is. Also, I want to mention during the war, which you referred to, there was a ceasefire that was negotiated by Israel at a time when they wanted to airlift out a community of Muslims, Bosnians, into the land of Israel, because in 1940s they had saved Jews during the Holocaust. And Israel now, it was in the 1980s, said, we now are here, the 80s or 90s? 90s. They said, we are now here to return the favor. And many of them still live in the land of Israel today, safely. What we'd like to do at this time is, in just a few moments, is when there will be a Muslim call to prayer and the breaking of the Iftar, breaking of the Ramadan fast. And those of us who've been fasting for the fast of Esther, I'm going to give you a special dispensation. We can break that fast at the same time, so we'll do it together. But what I'd like to do would just be, in as much as in just a moment we're going to hear the Muslim call to prayer, I'd like to invite all of our Jewish brothers and sisters and anyone else who was able to, please join together with me in a prayer that was recited earlier today. I don't know if any of you saw this or participated in it, but as part of Tanit Esther, at the Kotel HaMaravi, at the Western Wall, there was an international call for prayer. And I happened to be able to watch it as Jews around the world recited the Shema at the same moment. And there was the sounding of the shofar. And it was unbelievable and very powerful. And so I invite all of us now to join together in reciting the Shema, the proclamation and the declaration of the oneness of God. And so we pray. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol ma'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shiftecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'aderech uv'shachbecha uv'kumecha ukshatam liot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'einecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'v'hisharecha. And you shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all that is yours. And these words which I command you this day, you shall take them to heart. You shall teach them diligently unto your children, by speaking of them, when you sit in your home, when you walk on your way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them as a sign upon your hand, and as a symbol above your eyes. Inscribe them upon the doorposts of your homes and on your gates. For as God said unto Moses, speak these words to the children of Israel, so that they may last and be a reminder, and remember and fulfill all of my mitzvot. Be holy before the Lord your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. Ani Adonai Elohechem. We've recited the Shema together and the Via Hafta, story about the Shema that many of you may know. And we've been talking a little bit about what happened in the terrible time of the Holocaust. And there were many young Jewish children who were given up in orphanages and sometimes taken to monasteries in order to protect them. Can you imagine what that must have been like for a parent to give a child away in the hope that they would be able to live? And there's a story that's told of a rabbi who went to one of these Catholic nunneries, and in order to find Jewish children who had been hidden, and he was told by the head of the monastery that there were no Jewish children that were there. They were all Christian. And so he said, okay, but before I leave, may I just say a prayer? And he started to sing the words of the Shema. And with that, all of those who were Jewish actually joined in and came, and they were saved, and they were brought out of bondage. Then, just as that's part of what we celebrate every day, as well as on Passover and the holiday of Purim, when we celebrate the deliverance from the time of Haman in Persia. And so with that, what I'd like to do now is to invite Soraya Dean to come forward. Soraya is going to be leading us and introducing, where's Soraya? Yes, introducing the breaking of the Iftar fast, the conclusion of Ramadan, in just a few moments. And by the way, just want to let everyone know, so the fast will be broken just with something very simple, some water and dates, if I'm not mistaken. But that's just the appetizer. We have an unbelievable dinner that is being prepared. Those of you who were here last year know what I'm talking about. And I actually was not able to stay for dinner last year. So I'm really looking forward to tonight because I heard it was really very, very special. So I turn things over to you. Thank you.
Shalom Aleichem. Thank you, Rabbi Weinblatt, and my courageous friend Anila. We wouldn't be here without her. And ambassadors, honored guests, and of course, fellow healers. Am Israel Kai. Any supplication made to God before you break fast or after, we know will be answered. So my duty right now is to explain to you what the call to prayer is. How many of you have heard this? Oh, good. Okay. And then give you a little description about the tradition and the reasons behind it. You'd like to listen, right? Okay. So the purpose of the azan is to invite Muslims for obligatory prayers. The Arabic word azan means to listen. The ritual serves as a general statement of shared belief and faith for Muslims, as well as an alert that prayers is about to begin inside a mosque. Of course, the Imam, who is here, will then do a second call we call the Iqama, and then he summons the Muslims to line up for the beginning of the prayers. So the first muezzin, we say, who read the azan, who recited the azan, is Bilal bin Rabah. He was a freed slave of Abyssinian heritage. According to the Islamic history, the first dawn prayer, we call it the Fajr prayer, was given by Bilal. He was a companion of the Prophet Muhammad in the early days of Islam in Medina. They say around 622 AD. So that is a brief history about what the azan is. And I think the scheduled prayer time today is 7:22. Yes. So Javed, who is one of our valued interns, he will play the azan here, and you will hear it through the loudspeaker, through the microphone. And while the azan is playing, we invite you to get some water and a date and break fast. Once the azan is done, Imam Khan, who is here, will lead us in prayer. Okay? And then, of course, as Rabbi Weinblatt said, there's a scrumptious dinner that awaits us in the next room. Oh, okay. Yes. Yes. So the Prophet always promoted a date, because a date is supposed to have a lot of ingredients, properties. That was very healing. And at that time, it was in the desert, so the access was to water. Yeah? So you want to set up? Okay. Okay, you set it up.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله
It's the alarm that you can fast.
لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
Thank you, Javed. Javed is from Azerbaijan, interning at Georgetown, right? He's a great helper to us. Yeah, with Amlak, yes. So now I'm going to introduce the Imam who will lead us in prayer. He's the Imam of the Islamic Society of the Washington area. He's the past president of the Montgomery Faith Community Advisory Council, and he's among the 500 most influential Muslims in the world. It's an honor that he's here today. Thank you, Imam. Imam Faizul Khan, you will lead us in prayer now. Yes. Those of you who wish to pray, you can move to the left. My left, your right.
And we say the blessing, Baruch atah Adonai and lemelech haolam borei peri ha'etz. Blessed are you, O Lord our God, creator of the fruit of the tree. Thank you, Mom. Very moving and very beautiful, especially for those of us who are not familiar with the tradition. It is impactful, so we thank you. Please invite Kelly to introduce our last speaker.
No pressure as you're just before the serving of a food. I have the great pleasure now of introducing the Deputy Envoy to Monitor and Combat Anti-Semitism. That was a whole mouthful. And Aaron Kiak, please. Thank you.
It's always an auspicious occasion when you're standing between people and their food, but particularly when so much of the audience has been fasting all day. Maybe it's more of a punishment than anything else, but I also want to say how beautiful that was. To sit in a synagogue and to see members, leaders of people of faith praying to our God, it really is moving. When religions divide us so much, when they put up barriers to connections instead of avenues to connection, just even the simple act of doing an afternoon evening prayer is momentous. And today, as the rabbi said, today we're all fasting. And when you talk about your fast and our fast, obviously there are reasons why we fast. We can talk about the particularities of why Esther fasted, to give her strength, she fasted for a little bit longer, but to give us unity, to convince herself that her people stood behind her. But today we'll just take unity. And when you go back and look at what the Purim story of the Jewish people says, at the time, I defer to the rabbi, but our great thinkers of the time and since have thought those to be some of the darkest days in Jewish history. the government-sanctioned extermination of the Jewish people. But unfortunately, it's hard to say that's one of the darkest days because there have been too many of them. Just as an aside, Ambassador Lipstadt and I, and she's sorry she can't be here, have visited Argentina, and we used to talk about the bombing of AMIA, which is coming up on its 30th anniversary, essentially a JCC, was the greatest anti-Semitic attack since the Holocaust, which it was, but no longer. And so I'll just say very briefly, one of the things I think we can work on together is just bringing humanity back to the conversation. We see some of the greatest atrocities in human history, whether it's in your country or some of our brethren. It comes when it starts with dehumanizing the other. It doesn't start with the gas chambers. It doesn't. Well, there are children, so I'm not going to talk about exactly what I was going to say, but it doesn't start with the worst of things. It doesn't start with the worst acts. It doesn't start with garden tools being used for atrocities. It starts with dehumanizing the other. It starts by being able to look at the person next to your neighbor and think that that person's less. That person's not a person. That's the only way what we saw that happened in your country, or that happened to our people, or that happened on October 7th. The only way that's possible is if you don't see the other person as a human. Otherwise, you can't do that to somebody else. And it's sad that nowadays, even with this, I'll say courageous act, that my daughter has to walk through security to pray. That she has to walk through security to go to a kids' minyan, kids' gathering of people to pray. And so, of course, we thank the police officers and other security who make this possible. Because there's so many people who want this not to happen. They don't want us and the rabbi to pray here regularly. They certainly don't want us to show the humanity of praying to our God. But yet, this is the reality. When we were growing up in the United States, maybe you'd have one for crowd control. But now this is a necessity. And thank you, officer. He's not the only one. It's not just one to show. It's one that's needed. It's a whole team that's needed. And that's why it's important, as much in the face of that hate, to just hide behind our barriers, hide behind our security, hide behind our walls, hide in our own individual sanctuaries for prayer. It would have been quite easy, I'm sure, Imam, for you to go daven. For you to go do your prayer where you're comfortable doing it, but he took a risk. And maybe it's natural for you, but that's the type of thing we need to move forward. That's the type of thing we need to move together, to recognize each other's individual humanity, to break the fast together. But that doesn't happen unless there are people of courage to do so. I'm sure if Ambassador Lipstadt was here, she would say much more eloquent words, being an academic for more than 30 years. But day and day again, as we confront the realities of what happened on October 7th, and we've conveyed this to the ambassador directly, that doesn't happen unless you dehumanize the other, that somehow they brought it upon themselves. But we know that that's not the case. And in my humble way, and as a deputy, so not the ambassador, not an imam, not a rabbi, but what I am here to say, and what we've conveyed over and over again, is that protecting and ensuring that humanity is something, while the United States is not perfect, that is something we're going to continue to convey in our travels abroad, but also here at home. Also just hearing the call to prayer. And that doesn't happen unless we're all willing to do it. And so the most exciting part of the fast is when it's over. So I do not want to further delay anyone's connection between their mouth and their food. So I just want to thank the rabbi, the imam, and all the ambassadors who are here. Thank you.
So fret not, you are not the last person to stand. But instead, we've talked quite a bit about courage and resilience and survivorship. That's the story of our people. All of our holidays, for the most part, revolve around that story of resilience, of survivors, that we, in spite of the worst of odds, of the worst of things, October 7th, the Holocaust, the list goes on and on, sadly. But through all of that, we've not only survived, we've persisted, and we thrive. And that being said, I'm going to turn to someone else who is very near and dear to my heart to come and speak to us. I absolutely adore her. She is epitome of someone who not only survives and is courageous, but she's thriving and she will do great things. I would like to call up Seema Asif. As Anila had introduced her before, she is a Pakistani Christian, and for those of you who may not be aware, like many of us, the Jewish community, the Pakistani Christian community has also been subject to persecution and quite a severe degree. Recently, it flares up from time to time, and with no further ado, as I don't want to stand between everyone's meal, I'm going to turn over to Seema now.
Thank you, Kelly. Honorable Ambassador, Honorable Imam, Honorable Rabbis, Honorable President AMBEC Anila Ali, and all the distinguished guests, Shalom, Salam, and Assalamu Alaikum. My name is Seema Asif, and I'm honored to be speaking to you all today. And I warmly welcome you all to this wonderful gathering of interfaith harmony, a true example of love, respect, tolerance, acceptance. So, well, as Kelly was saying, I am a very proud Pakistani and a daughter of a very renowned bishop in Pakistan who had served 3 decades for interfaith harmony. And throughout his life, he had worked very hard and very selflessly for the upliftment and development of Christians in Pakistan. My father passed away in 2020, and after his passing, to carry forward his legacy, I also started advocacy for the religious freedom. And luckily, I met Anila Ali, and I joined IRF Pakistan under her leadership. 2 years ago, I came to US to attend IRF Summit, and part of the summit was that we had different sessions, different visits to different places, and we went to Holocaust Museum in DC, and I took a picture with Anila Ali, and as a Christian Muslim praying at Holocaust Museum in DC. It was the same time when IRF Pakistan held Hanukkah lighting ceremonies in Pakistan, and throughout Pakistan, they were shining, they were having lighting ceremonies in Pakistan. And that was, in fact, the first time in the history of Pakistan that Hanukkah lighting ceremonies were held. So, during that time, when this was happening there, my picture at Holocaust, it got viral. And sadly, it got immense attention, both good and bad, negative and positive both. So
When I went back to Pakistan, I was told to retract all my statements from all social media, and I must remove all my pictures of the Holocaust Museum and all, the efforts of interfaith harmony. Things turned out really bad, and I had to leave my birth country, and I had to take refuge in America. But my heart still remains in Pakistan. And for me, as a Christian, as a Pakistani, as an educational leader, and a human being above all, I think it is more important, and even more important, to make bridges, peace bridges between the people of God. And this is what you people are doing, and you people are the true example that you people are practically doing this interfaith and setting example for everyone that peace is the way forward for a better world for each one of us. So I would like to congratulate you, appreciate all of you that you have taken this practical step. We are all here, the Christians, Jews, Muslims, and we are all sitting here together. So this is an example that, yes, this world can be a better place. Like if we start accepting each other, we start tolerating each other, and bringing and putting humanity first. So here, Anila, my board members, AMVIC board members. So I look forward working with you, all of you, and AMVIC fighting against hate. God bless you all.
I will just give a brief note of appreciation and thanks to the Iftari dinner, which is sponsored tonight by the House of Ruach, the Heck Foundation, who also is a sponsor of girls' schools in Pakistan, and the village of Terpakar, which is in Sindh, Anila's birthplace. Unfortunately, the video from the House of Ruach was not played in time. We didn't receive that, but we do want to convey our appreciation to them for providing the meal to us tonight. And then to the company who prepared the wonderful food that I did have the pleasure and can attest to of enjoying last year, Tarka Foods. So thank you, Shukriya, to Tarka Foods for preparing the Pakistani meal that you are all now about to enjoy. Please enjoy. Kosher, pardon, kosher, sorry. Important to note, sorry.
Shalom Rab, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rab, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rab.